Welcome to the Current Conversations podcast. I'm Savannah Hugdahl, your host today, and we are talking with George Bains, Deputy County Administrator, about all the exciting things coming to Gloucester in 2025. Welcome, George.
Thank you, Savannah. It's great being here today.
It's great to have you. So if you could recap for people who don't listen super often,
Right.
What are the departments that you oversee and what kind of things do they do, just
Gotcha.
generally?
So in general, you can call the side of the house I work with the development side of the house. That means it's things that are involved in planning, zoning, environmental, building inspections. So people who are kind of coming here to develop land, whether it's a single family home or it's a business or it's a shopping center, those type things. Also involved with the utilities because they're part of that group. Then all of our infrastructure that we support. So our engineering department, our facilities and maintenance department, our IT department, and our GIS department. So again, a broader step that we're still doing things to improve our environment, but it may be just for the county as we grow to help oversee a park getting some repairs or an ADA sidewalk put in. We kind of support those things. So the side of the house that I'm involved with is more how we maintain what we have and how we improve what we have.
That's so exciting because it's really like anything that's new to Gloucester, pretty much you get to have a hand in.
Or at least I get to see it. Absolutely. It is. And it is. And, because of that, you're right. Some of the things that we see are things that people just kind of, put up on a chalkboard and say, what ifs? So you get a lot of that through the development side of the house that people come in and say, well, what would I have to do this project? And you'd say, well, it has an environmental issue, or because you're doing this, it's going to have a building code requirement, and it's neat to see those things. I do find that it's exciting, but the one thing that we're going to be working on, and I'll talk about the things in the past, but one of the things we're working on this year that to me is real exciting is that we have most of those departments on one floor in the building, but we're going to try to figure out how to make it easier for people to understand that when you get a building permit, you still have to get a zoning permit because you got to make sure that what you're building meets our comp plan. And if it has any environmental impacts, that you have to go to environmental. Right now, there are 3 different departments, 3 different places you go, and sometimes people get lost or confused at where they got to be. So we're going to work on that process early this year to try to help improve that. We did that several years ago for the development side of the house for commercial by creating a site plan committee. So that means you come in and you get a one-stop shop. Her name is Kathy Wilmot. And when you meet with Kathy, she then sends it out to the highway department, the health department, the utilities department, the building department, and it all gets distributed so that you get feedback from all of them so that
all at once.
If you're doing a development, you come in for a pre-application. They review it all, give you their comments so that when you come in, you're much more prepared to actually move forward than you would otherwise. So it is a lot of fun. You see a lot of things, but like I said, because people will come in for those pre-app meetings, sometimes when they get the comments back, they're going like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore because of that.
Right. And I think that's a thing that people don't understand super well. When they have this idea of a business that they want to bring in, it feels like there's all these hurdles to jump through, but really these are in place to make sure that you are set up for success and the public is safe when they come to your business and everything is I's dotted, T's crossed.
Absolutely. So just a quick example, we had a mom and pop business that here in Gloucester had grown and grown, that they were renting space and they wanted to build their own. Well, our economic development director, they came to Sherry, who's again part of this group, but she's out kind of more public facing. They said, man, we really want to do it. So that site plan committee met with them and said, well, here's some of the criteria. The setbacks or the highway overlay. Here's if you're on water and sewer. They were so shocked. They said, we didn't know that you were here as a resource to help us. We thought whenever we try to do something, you just tell us all the things we could or could not do.
Oh, no.
So when they finally found a place, they were so happy that they already kind of understood everything that was going to be needed at the location they chose. And I watched them move into another building. It's going to be a family business that gets to be handed on to a next generation, the whole bit. So yeah, there's a lot to it that we do to help people that is really all behind the scenes.
And I think that's the secret sauce of Gloucester County as well, is that all of our employees are so kind and they want to help you, that the process can be smooth and seamless as long as you start with us and you're not having to backtrack.
Absolutely. And again, you know, the more you do it, the easier it gets because of the relationships and such. So when there is somebody coming in who is building homes all throughout the county, he already knows what the expectation is. He knows what data he should bring with him. So it helps a lot for those people to come in and get a building permit and a zoning permit. What we're really looking for now, where we've done that with the developer side of the house, we're trying to do that for the residential. That means the homeowner who's never dealt with the government before. So you come in, you think, I'm going to build a garage. What do I need? A building permit. Oh no, you really need a zoning permit and an environmental permit. We're trying to make that same type of connection to the individual who's never dealt with us before. My fun example is when I go out and talk to groups or the Rotaries and others, I use this all the time. You're driving along 17, you see this quaint little house on the side of the road, and you're like, oh, I've always wanted to have a coffee shop. So you rush out and you buy the piece of property, you know, you're ready to do it. Then you come into us and find out it's not zoned for, you know, business. It's a residential lot. It has to have some type of easements or access from VDOT. And all of a sudden, you're overwhelmed. If you'd come and asked us before you bought the property instead of after you bought it, it would help you make that decision easier. So I always said, even though you see it, come ask us first. We will help you through that process. So anybody who hadn't dealt with us, we're more than willing to sit down with them and show them the process and help them get through it.
Oh, that's a great perspective. And I think you simplified it in a way that people would understand well. Let's jump into some of the exciting stuff.
Okay.
New year, everyone's thinking about what new stuff 2025 will bring for them. And the county is getting plenty of new stuff too. So can you talk about some of the new businesses that your teams are working on getting set up here?
Sure. So right now in our business park, we've got several businesses that are looking to move into the business park. So we're working with them. And we've got one that's already in the business park that's looking to expand. So right there, our economic development group, there's an synergy right there. That's right next to a large farm that the family that owns it, now most of them don't live in the county, so they're looking to maybe allow their property to be leased or purchase parts of it. Then we have the Page site that is a county site. So that whole area right there is going to have a dynamic to it. The property was given back to, it was given back to the county from the schools after the new bus garage was built. So exciting for us. Our utilities department never had a shop to work in. They had a building for their guys to sit in, and then we had pole sheds for them to work under. We took the old bus garage and made it into a utility shop. So they have offices for all the supervisors and the people who have to deal with all the administrative side. And we have 3 bays that they can use to work on equipment year round instead of having to be out in the weather.
Yeah, so much more comfortable to work on your truck in the garage.
Absolutely. So those guys have now, and they're more centralized on our whole water system and our sewer system. So we've improved that. So that whole area from basically where the business park is to the Page area is going to be, I won't say developed because we don't know when it will, but it's going to be more cohesive. So if things do go in there, they will all kind of fit better with each other. Besides that, the gentleman that has the shopping center up here where Walmart is and the Home Depot, he's got some plans to try to expand some of that. We saw a oil and lube location go in. There's several other businesses looking for spots within that park. So we'll see what he comes up with there.
Did I hear Panera?
I've heard lots of names, and Panera is one of them. So real excited that if those things move forward, that we'll have our first Panera here in the county. So that'll be exciting.
So it's not set in stone yet, though.
I will tell you that the example is down there across from where Centera has their offices there at the entrance to the business park. Langley Federal went across the street from that, and behind it are some apartments. Well, right across from Langley Federal is a piece of property that Royal Farms came in with an application to build a gas station there. Well, by the time it got to the public hearing side, there was a lot of concern from the citizens that, we've already got 20 gas stations. Why do we need more? But the people who came and represented themselves as actually the people that were going to build there was no longer Royal Farms, it was Sheets. So even though one of them had started to develop it, they were able then, because they had a package of how they were going to develop it, they were able to sell that to somebody else. So when you say, well, is Panera coming or not?
Okay.
A lot of those things you don't really know until they're ready to open the doors.
Okay.
But that's the way the development side of the house works. I can tell you, because they're going to open sometime in the next few weeks, and here we are in the middle of January, is the Dunkin' Donuts at the Point.
I know. My husband is so excited. We're going to have to take out a second mortgage.
I know. But it's opening down there. So we know the Dunkin' Donuts is coming. We know that up here, someone took an old SunTrust Bank building that was in front of the Tractor Supply and Big Lots shopping center and converted that SunTrust into a little strip that's got a Chipotle. And they've got a drive-through, so you see people in line around that building. Mm-hmm. So we've seen some growth in those commercial areas. There's always a question, and our board gets it too. Why do we see so many old shopping centers that have, for rent or lease on them? I can't tell you from a developer standpoint why, but I can tell you from a construction standpoint. A lot of times if you're taking an old building and you're having to renovate it, you have a cost to tear out the old stuff before you put in the new stuff.
Okay.
If you're developing something new, all you have the cost is putting in the new stuff. You don't have the cost of tearing out the old. So a lot of times you'll see people will build a new little strip with 4 slots for businesses in it versus taking an old one that was there and trying to renovate it. We have had some luck down at the Point, the shopping center across from York River Crossing. Mm-hmm. The Ace Hardware there, he's the gentleman who took the old the old bowling alley and made it into an Ace. He felt that our community was a great community to be in. He bought the Ace franchise at the Point and took it from being on Old 17 right into that shopping center. So he bought the whole shopping center and he's doing improvements on the whole thing. So, we're seeing a lot of focus on services here that will help our citizens so you don't have to cross the bridge. So, yeah, we're really excited about that.
I love not having to cross the bridge. I'm a true Gloucester girl and I only go over there if I really have to.
If you really have to, yeah.
But so here's a question that I see on Facebook a lot. People will ask, why don't we bring in X, Y, Z?
Right.
And I think that's a misconception that the county, encourages these businesses to come. It's really that businesses say, hey, I want to come into Fox Mill Center Parkway. Yeah. How can I do that, right?
Absolutely. So what really happens is, sure, we can put out all types of ads or go knock on doors or hand out flyers, say, come to Gloucester. But most of those have their own demographics, their own model on when they build a store. Mm-hmm. So that it isn't really up to us on when they come, it's up to them looking at our growth. So I think our board has taken a really good perspective on that. But the thing that we try to sell as Gloucester is that we're the hub not for just Gloucester, but for the Middle Peninsula. So when you look at businesses that are here, it's not just the 38,000 people that live in Gloucester, but the other 8 or 10 in Matthews and the 20 some up in Middlesex, so that you have this bigger pool. And that's what we're trying to do a better job of, is that when you look at your demographics, don't get so caught up on the Gloucester zip codes or the Gloucester boundary. We have a lot of people that come from these other local counties because we're closer than Richmond or Newport News.
We're a pretty commute-friendly community. People will drive a longer way on the Middle Peninsula than...
Absolutely, and that's in these, what we like to say is a more rural community, that we have our business focused along 17, but when you get off of 17, you have this more country-type feel. Well, people who like that country-type feel in Matthews and Middlesex still have to come buy stuff places, so they do come to your Home Depots, your Lowe's, your Walmarts, the Tractor Supplies, all those that are here that aren't in other locations, so absolutely.
So are we solidified on the sheets? Is that happening in 2025?
They have gotten their preliminary plan in. So yeah, normally by the time they get an application in, they're probably at that point where they're really going to go forward with it. So we'll know. I didn't think before we started this podcast, but we actually have a log that kind of shows us where we are for all these different all these different applications, where they are in the process.
Editor's note. I had George help me find these charts on the website, and I wanted to walk you through how to access them yourself if you're interested in knowing what businesses are in the process of setting up shop here in Gloucester. It's a bit of a web, so either plan to write these steps down or check the podcast notes after the show, and I'll embed a link there. First, get your browser to gloucesterva.gov. Across the top, you'll see different options like Home, Board of Supervisors, Meeting Portal, all of that stuff. Click on Board of Supervisors. If you scroll down the page a bit, you'll find a group of light gray buttons on a blue background. Click the one that says Agendas and Minutes. This page is divided into two sections, upcoming meetings and past meetings. You can find these charts in either place, but for ease of explanation, I'll direct you down to the past meetings section. Find the blue line that says Planning Commission and click on that. As far as I can tell, when it comes to the Planning Commission, every single one of the clickable agenda PDFs will include a report from our planning team, and they're the folks who create this chart. So click on an agenda PDF to open up one of those documents. Look for the words Development Plan Status. That's your chart. It's got the name of each plan or business site, a description of what people want to use the space for, and the status of the project. That's a lot, isn't it? If it's too much, don't fret. I'm going to include a link to the board's Agendas and Minutes landing page to shortcut a lot of that clicking for you. Then you just have to look for Planning Commission agendas. Now back to the podcast.
So there are several. So they've got theirs in. Like I said, there's one in to build 2 buildings within the Fox Mill Center that are for restaurants. So we're all hoping that's going to be a Panera. Like we said, we got the additional Express Lube type of franchise that went in front of the Home Depot. There's talk about along 17. A couple of the parcels people have been looking at for other types of services, but right now those haven't solidified on where they want. So I can't say, oh yeah, they're going to be in the courthouse area at the Point, but people, as you expand, you'll see we're coming from both ends, the courthouse in Gloucester Point and moving towards the middle. Because as you do, our growth now, as they call from a highway standpoint, a pipeline is basically from the Fox Mill Center now down to Short Lane and maybe on to that light right there at the business park and the Langley Federal. So now you're starting to see that whole area be where all the business growth is. It isn't just on a little piece up here between the light and Short Lane. So we see that, and the same thing at the Point. Some of the exciting things down at the Point, VIMS was last year the benefit of a donation to help with their undergraduate fisheries and research on the aquatic life. They have it as a master's and everybody can go to VIMS, but they didn't have it as undergraduate over at the main campus. With that, the donation was $100 million. So a lot of that money will go towards buildings here on the campus down at the Point. So we'll see some more growth there. The state's given them preliminary money to help them redo their boat basins so that their boats can be in there and build another building there that will deal with the oysters and the things they've got going. So we'll see some growth happening there. We're looking at the park that's there is both a county park and a national, one of the federal parks. So with the National Park Service. So we may see some growth there. So those things at the Point, and then that SunTrust that is set empty for so long. If you go out to our land records, the people that own the restaurant right next door bought it. So we don't know what their plans are, but they've bought that piece of land.
Is that Nick's?
Okay. So Nick's, the family that owns Nick's, purchased the piece of property on the corner. So we got that. With our improvements, we're going to finish sidewalks all the way from the beach up, and they'll cross 17 at those 2 lights, the one there at Lafayette and the next one at Camp Oakey. So we're going to make it a little more walkable for people who live back in that area to be able to get to them from the beach and to them from some of the businesses. So we're looking at the Gloucester Point area as kind of an area to start to build that same type of infrastructure that you can walk or ride bikes places like we do up here at the courthouse. So that's exciting in the next year or two. And then, in general, the amount of people that are at least talking about growth. And I'll talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the reserves, the large one across from Lowe's. There's a lot of rumors, things are going on there, but that property is to be developed in 5 to 7 phases. Okay. They only can build so many homes a year. So they cleared the commercial in the front in phase 1. In phase 1, they came across a couple of species of animals that our state, not the federal government, but our state government have categorized as endangered. Oh. So they've got to go through now and do a study on making sure that the ponds that these endangered species live in, their paths of where they go to mate and other things, that we take that into consideration when you're putting your roads and your houses in. So they've kind of ground to a halt while they work through all that with the state government. other ones that are kind of coming up that aren't really in yet. The land that's on the north side of that road, from there up to the Fox Mill Shopping Center, is owned by the same person or the same company that did Fox Mill Center. So they're looking at some of that. Some of those pieces out along 17 are. So, you could see another couple businesses that might want to come in. We get down towards the middle part of the county, where the Kroger and that shopping center is. There's still some commercial growth right there in front of the home development that's just north of the Kroger. There's an empty piece of property there. I think Creekside is maybe the little caterer on one side with the restaurant.
Cafe.
On the other side of that, there's a piece there that's looking to be developed. So we've got a lot of those type things going on up and down 17. If you are a business or business owner, our economic development director, Sherry Springs, has some incentives and grants to help you with your businesses, whether it's stuff to do, things on social media, if they're things with the outside of your buildings. There's some small grants that she runs each year at certain times of the year that they can get involved in. The residents, we look at, people aren't always looking for developments, but we have found here in the county, people that are looking to still own a home but not do a lot of maintenance has become a thing. That's what the last large subdivision at Main Street Landing up here off of Main Street. The people own their homes, but somebody else takes care of the yards, the roads, everything else, so that it is a much more a lifestyle that you're not having to deal with so much of your yard. So on the weekends, if you're single, grandparents that you don't have kids, you don't have to spend your whole weekend there trying to take care of things. You can go out and do the things you want to do, whether it's volunteer, be with your families, or anything else you want to do. So we're seeing that as kind of a new thing in the county. We haven't had one. Developers who do those have come and looked, but again, finding the right parcel with the right stuff, it's really up to them. All we can do is show them where water and sewer is and where these parcels are. Mm-hmm. They've got to make the decision on whether there's 20 homes or 50 homes. There was one that, again, was rumored, but was going to be off of Main Street. Well, it was an internal parcel, and to make it work, that developer was going to make them into townhomes to get a little higher number of homes so that they could sell them and make enough to develop it. The neighbors were so around them not wanting to have any more traffic or anything else that piece of property is still vacant. No one's decided they can go in and build homes there to make enough money to actually do the project. So, we're still small enough that not everybody's rushing over here to do things, but we're hopefully big enough that we find the quality of what we get is improving our community and not making it any worse off.
Yeah. I think especially when you're bringing businesses into these existing shopping centers, It's not displacing anyone extra. But if you're concerned about that kind of thing, I'm going to take a side note here to plug our Board of Supervisors meetings.
Yep.
You should come. We want to hear from you. Our Board of Supervisors make decisions based on what people tell them they want for the future of Gloucester.
Absolutely. And they'll be seeing that again. This sounds like, oh, geez, George, this isn't a big thing for this next year, but we're starting our comp plan. So the comp plan is the overall view of what the county wants to be. Kind of what this little saying, what do we want to be when we grow up? So as we look at what our last comp plan had, and we've kind of fulfilled that, it's all traffic and growth from the point to the courthouse. Where do we want anything else outside of that? So when we're talking about things outside of that, this comp plan is a way for our board to kind of put the vision out for the next 20 years. And to do that, we do a lot of public meetings to hear from the citizens of what they want. Like I said, on social media, you can hear, why don't we have this restaurant here? Or why don't we have that here? It may be a single person's opinion, or it may be everybody's. I did like that. I think last year our Gazette took a poll. That was, it wasn't a true poll where you had
not official, statistically significant,
but still, when you ask people, hey, what do you want? The ones who replied kind of tell you what people are looking for and want. So with things like that, at least we're hearing from people that, hey, they still want to see improvements to the community that we don't have right now. So it lets us know that. So we're going to be looking at the comp plan. That kind of becomes our focus and our board for how we want to let things improve in Gloucester over the next 20 years. And we'll be starting that this year. So even though you won't see, a restaurant pop up here or, housing there or not there, it gives us an idea of how we want that growth to happen. So that's exciting for us that deal with that planning and looking at the future and how do we make it so that Gloucester is a better place for the next generation when we're 20 years down the road. So yeah, we're excited about that too.
George, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and telling us all about the stuff that's coming to Gloucester. I'm excited for a lot of this stuff, and I'm sure that we'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks for your input.
Thanks, Savannah. And yeah, I love to talk about the things that we're doing here in Gloucester County. I'm excited for our future, and I really look forward to the things that we're doing right and improving the things that we're doing, especially to help our citizens and all of our businesses. Thank you.